What's up, everybody? It's Tyler here, and I'm joined by a great guest. She's an East Texas native, and she's in Nashville now. She just put out the Cotton Candy Sky sessions. Rachel LaRen joins me. Rachel, what's going on?
What's up, everybody? I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you on here. You got 6 songs out as the acoustic versions, and I think that's really cool. Um, what was the inspiration behind the Cotton Candy Sky sessions? Because I'm really interested to find that out.
Yeah, great question. So I released an EP called Cowboys Don't Change back in June. And I'm really, really proud of that EP. It's some of my favorite songs I've wrote since I've been in town. I was really happy with how it did, but there's like this really big push right now and no matter what genre you're in, but specifically in country music to just consistently put out music, single, single, single. I didn't necessarily want to let the EP just die there. I just thought it deserved a longer life. And so I also didn't have any more singles to push from it. So I kind of just thought, what could I possibly do with this? We put a lot of work into the production of that. Brad Hill produced that EP with me, and he's absolutely incredible. Really let me be creative with him and really kind of go back into the studio 1,000 times and make sure everything was exactly what I wanted. So I thought, okay, well, let's just strip it all back. I love what we did with it, but let's strip it back. Do the acoustic versions. It's more content to put out. It's another way to push the EP. And my hope was that people would hear the acoustic sessions and it would drive them to the EP itself, which it kind of has. It really helped Fly. It's the first song on the album or the EP, which looking back, I wish I would have made a single and I didn't. So that kind of helped boost it a little bit. So it really was just another way to get the EP out in the world and just more ears to hear the music.
So, out of the 6 songs, do you have a personal favorite that you made as the acoustic version? Do you like it more? Well, are there any songs that you like more as the acoustic version than the original?
I honestly, oh, that's so hard. I'm a stripped back person personally. So like for the EP, I really kind of went for it with like all the harmonies and like the layered vocals and like I really let like Brad shine there and he killed it. It was great, but it's like kind of out of my not my wheelhouse, just it made me like grow a little bit more in the studio. Because I love work tapes. Like when we write it and that raw sound, like that's what I get attached to. So I wouldn't say I loved them more, but I definitely love them in a different way. And it would probably be Fly and John Wayne. I really loved the acoustic side of that. They're so acoustic heavy, and I love just an acoustic guitar. So, and they're big vocally, and I just thought you could really like hear the intricacies of the vocals. And we obviously worked really hard on those melodies, and so I really liked how those turned out.
I mean, the acoustic sounded so good on all the songs, and I had a feeling you were going to say John Wayne. I don't know why. I just had a good feeling about
Yeah.
that. I love the way that one sounds, and a stripped back version, I feel like, is a really popular kind of thing out in the Midwestern Texas, Oklahoma area, like Zach Bryan and all those artists in country music right now. Being a Texas native, what was that like growing up for you there, and how have you adjusted to Nashville?
Yeah, it's a great question. Um so what's weird about so I always grew up around music. I sang in church and I was in choir and I did like a couple vocal things. My mom saw at an early age that I liked to sing and I sounded okay for like a 6-year-old. And so she got me in voice lessons for a couple years. Um, but in Texas, there wasn't like in Gun Barrel, like I don't know. I didn't really know like how to go after music. So like I played sports and it was a really small town and it was like a very typical like country upbringing. And so we lived in Gun Barrel. We didn't go to Dallas a lot. Like that was that. When I got into high school though, my brother actually introduced me to like Willie, Waylon. I heard like country on the radio, but he introduced me to like some of the older people. And then my grandma was really big into country. And so I kind of had stopped doing music at that point because I knew I was doing choir, which was classical music,
Mhm.
which isn't really a big thing in Gun Barrel, but that's just all we had was classical choir through the school. So I just knew I loved music, but I didn't really know like what I wanted to do. So I just was like a typical high schooler. Like we'd go, mudding and we would have pasture parties and like we just didn't, I don't know. I wasn't like, I want to do music. I just knew I loved singing. So that was really typical. The city's very different. I love it, hate it. I love all of the options of like restaurants and people and the shows and going out to shows every night and like the songs. It makes me super inspired. But it's too many people. It takes forever to, like, fast food is not fast food. It's probably faster to just go in and eat somewhere if you go at like 4 o'clock for dinner. Because if you go anything later, you're not getting in. I don't like that about the city, but I do like the musical differences and how it's really opened my eyes to a lot of different sounds. But I will one day, like, mark my words, move back to Texas and have some land and just make trips back and forth.
Well, there sure are a lot of tourists in Nashville.
Yeah,
I feel like
there
it's
are.
you were saying that you run into a lot of people that you know, but I feel like that's kind of hard.
You would think, but it's because we all go to the same places. So like if I was like a nurse or something, maybe not. But because before COVID, there was a ton of writers rounds. Now there's only a couple. And so we all go to the same ones. And so you see the same people. It's just where like the songwriters and artists hang out, you're all going to go in the same places. There is like a little disconnect, I will say. There's like industry and then there's like people right here and then the line to like make it. But everyone in that line area, like if you just made it or if you're trying to make it, whatever that means, like getting a publishing deal or making money gigging, whatever making it means to you, we all kind of hang out at the same places, like Demumbrium. Everyone's down at the same, like Raised Rowdy, In the Round, Why Not Wednesday. Those are kind of the big ones. You're seeing people at the listening room. Whiskey Jam. That's kind of it. So you're gonna see, people everywhere. And then there's literally only like two Targets and like two I mean, it's a big town, but it's still small. So like if you need to go to Target, you're probably gonna see someone there because there's only a couple around. So it's really not as big as it feels sometimes, but that's the problem, is it's small and there's too many people for it.
Well, I went to Nashville 2 months ago, and while I was on the way up there, I went to a place that I'd always dreamed of going to. No, not Dollywood, but well, there's a lot of places you could go on the way up to Nashville, but that place was Bucky's. And as a Texas native, I must ask, and sorry for anybody from Texas that's watching this because you already know the answer, but is everything really bigger in Texas? Is Bucky's bigger in Texas than it is in all the other states? Because the
No,
ones are pretty big in like Georgia and Tennessee.
no, there's a really big Bucky's in Temple, Texas. That may be bigger. The only Bucky's I've been to outside of Texas is the one going to East Tennessee. And I think the one in Temple's bigger than that, but they're not like by much. They're pretty much the same size. But Bucky's is legit. Whenever I was going to play a show and I went with two of my good friends that are both from the Midwest. They hated it. And I could not believe that these people were my friends, that they hated Bucky's. It like broke my heart.
How do you not like
So
Bucky?
I know. I don't know. They said it was too many people, too many options, too chaotic. I think they're crazy, but
Too many options, I think, is a good thing.
I know. I'm
Get anything you
indecisive, so
want.
I need to know all my options. Yeah, I agree.
I have the problem of just getting everything.
Same. Yeah, same. So I can't decide. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun final 2.5 hours up to Nashville after eating like brisket sandwich, banana pudding.
Yeah. They got a
Fudge.
lot.
They do have a lot. Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping you have a lot of this. Now, I've got an interesting question for you. I've asked this to other artists, and I want to hear your answer on it. If you could pick maybe one or two artists that are no longer with us that you would love to do a collaboration with if you had that chance, who would it be? And then if you could pick one or two artists that are alive, who would they be?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So before I answer this, grew up on blues. Like I didn't in like I didn't grow up like really on like country music until I guess that I was in high school. So I do kind of get a little bit of like my soul a little bit from that. So I would probably say maybe Etta James, um, or like Otis Redding, or someone like that. I listen to that music all the time by myself. That's what I listen to when I go home with my mom and stuff. So really, really big into that type of music, that old school, like blue jazz, like Billie Holiday, big fan of hers. So that kind of vibe. And then obviously, if I had to choose like a country person, it'd be Johnny Cash. But People Alive is really hard for me. I'm kind of like a weird middle. My EP was pretty country. Um, and that is me, but I also love to my core like singer songwriter sounds. So the Zach Bryan's, but I would probably choose, and I can't give like one. I just can't. Like same as people that were dead. It would be like Chris Stapleton, Leon Bridges, Miranda or Casey, and maybe like then like random like Noah Cyrus, which I know sounds like everywhere, but it's does I have those all those influences, and they're all very similar if you think about it. But yeah, it's all like very like raw singer songwritery stuff. They may be bigger in production, but like to the core of the song is very raw.
Well, maybe future album someday, collaboration album.
Yeah, that would be sick. Like the Crossroads, like CMT or whatever, I would love to do with like Leon Bridges or someone. That would be so sick. I am the biggest fan of him ever.
Oh, that would be awesome. And now I feel like you already answered this question. I was gonna ask you who your biggest influences on your sound are, but I feel like you kind of said it already. Uh,
Yeah, the only person I would add to that would probably be I am a big Tyler Childers fan. Been listening to him for years and years and years, and then honestly Texas country. Like I'm influenced by a lot of people, but it's more of like a sound necessarily than a person. So if I feel like they have a sound that's raw, I'm big on melodies. Like the melody has to hit me or I'm not going to listen to the lyric. So I try to also do that in my songs. Um, but anything that is like Americana meets Texas country meets just like singer songwriter, I'm very, very inspired by that. So I'm inspired by a lot of different sounds, but it just has to be in that realm.
that's a good answer. I mean, every artist is different, and that's what I love about music is you don't really have to have a particular sound that like somebody else. You're an artist for a reason, and it's making music that sounds like your own. And yeah, I like that you draw inspiration from all different kinds of genres and stuff like that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I think because I just grew up on so many different types of music that it just kind of naturally happened. And then when I decided, okay, what is natural to me? What do I want to say? What do I sound like? It just kind of all came together. So,
Hey, I get it. I mean, I'm from New Jersey, as most of you people know watching this, and I did not really grow up on country music that much. I grew up on like Frank Sinatra and
yeah.
Leonard Skinner and Guns N' Roses and just a
But
Bobby Darin, just a weird mix of music.
yeah. Yeah.
But
I get it.
I don't know. I kind of feel like those two could gel together into like a country sound. It's kind of weird
Yeah.
to say.
Well, like rock back in the day, like what we would call Southern rock, is like hearty. I mean, genres change over time. So it's like, yeah, like you would have put back in the day, even like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Southern country rock. Like you could put him into that. Like he's bluesy, but yeah, there's a lot. Like the genre lines are so blurred, which I personally love and like. I don't, I get it gets sticky with like awards and whatnot, but I just think, man, you just look at the listeners. If you got a group of listeners that primarily listens to country and they're also listening to, I don't care, someone that may be not considered as country, I don't know. Well, country fans are listening to them, so they're probably, it's just
I
I
don't.
don't know, genres these days.
Well, since you're probably the last interview that's being put out before 2023 starts, I would love to know what are your goals for the new year?
Yeah, great question. So I would love, love, love to get on the road. So I I would love to put out more music, but even I've been writing a ton this year, and I have a ton of writes January and February. Um, and ideally, I do put more music out in the fall, maybe two, three singles, not a whole project, but I more than anything, I'm very, very, very proud of this EP, and I think that it's exactly what I want to say to the world and how I want to say it, melodically, production wise, lyrically, and so I really want to take it on the road. So that's the goal. Trying to book as many shows as I can and get it to more people's ears and just continue its life because I really believe in it and I don't want its life to be cut short. So I just want to keep getting it out there.
Well, for those of you watching this, don't cut that life short. Go stream the Cotton Candy Sky sessions right now. And if Rachel is playing a show in your area, then why don't you go see her live? Because who doesn't like a live concert? I love it. And Rachel, it was a
Like,
pleasure having you on here. And
yeah, thank you so much. I loved it. I really appreciate you having me and taking the time. I know it's, end of year and everyone's wrapping up, but this was really fun. It was great to meet you.
hey, it was great having you on here. Great to meet you too. And if you guys don't follow Rachel on Instagram, TikTok, rest of the social media platforms, you know how it goes. Just go hit the follow button. It's it's just easy to do. It takes a second out of your day. And go stream her music because you won't regret it. Rachel, great having you on here again, and we will see you guys next time. Cheers to the new year.
Thanks, guys.